So one very fun fact that we haven't had before is we have a media partnership with BioBuzz this year, and they are in the back room interviewing one person from each panel, and they're probably going to ask some of you to be interviewed, and they will be running these interviews in their publication after the meeting ends today. So we'll have continuing coverage moving forward. So that's an exciting thing. Okay, now we're going to move into workforce development, which is so important to opening economic opportunity for all in Philadelphia. Many people know that the jobs in life sciences generally pay higher than jobs in other industry, from the entry level on up to the PhD. And not all of these jobs require PhDs by any stretch of the imagination. You know, there's technicians, there's lots of assistants that are involved, there's people who run the core labs at the academic institutions, and those people just need certifications. And so we need to make sure that the training programs are in place so that everyone has access to the jobs that are being created by this industry. So I'm really excited. Eric Hattrell was going to moderate this panel, but he had to step out for a meeting. So Sharon Willis is going to moderate. She is the co-founder, vice president of sales and customer relations for Integral Molecular. Maury Smith is the managing director of the Keystone Life Sci Collaborative. David Zuga, the associate dean of biomedical studies at the Wistar Institute. Maya Helland, Senior Director, STEM Education at the University Science Center. Alana O'Reilly, Associate Professor at Fox Chase Cancer Center and the Executive Director and Chief Scientific Officer of the eClose Institute. And Kara Spiller, Professor of Biomedical Innovation, School of Biomedical Engineering, Science and Health Systems at Drexel. Welcome.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you to everyone who's put this conference together today. It's really been a great day so far. You know, we've heard about innovation from the universities. We've heard about AI. We've heard about funding the work that goes on across the city, startups and our incubator resources. And what all of these different facets need is employees. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the workforce development efforts going on across the city of Philadelphia. And they are numerous and they are absolutely amazing. And I'm really excited to be part of this panel today. As Nancy said, I'm one of the co-founders of Integral Molecular. We are a biotechnology company focused on early discovery and characterization of biotherapeutics. We are born and raised in Philadelphia. We spun out of the University of Pennsylvania 23 years ago with two people. Now we have over 100 at One U City Square, and we're growing. We're going to double our workforce in the next 2 to 3 years, and we need our partners who are on this stage to help us do that, because as you've been hearing today, there's a biotech boom in Philadelphia. Buildings are going up all over the place, in the Navy Yard, in University City, downtown, the build out of the Curtis Center. And we're all pulling from the same resources. New companies are starting every month, and we rely on the universities, and we rely on these training programs to really fill that funnel of people who are excited about being in STEM, working in the STEM industries, and being employed by all of these great companies. So we're going to talk about filling that funnel today. We have this laid out to start with programs focusing on middle and high school students to get them excited about STEM and wanting to go into STEM careers. Then we're going to go into some of our workforce development programs. So as Nancy said, how do you get into this industry if you don't have a master's degree, if you don't have a PhD? We'll then talk about an exciting new program at Drexel University, supporting training in cell and gene therapy. And then finally, end with the really super exciting Keystone Life Science Collaborative. Hopefully everyone here has heard about that, which is really here to unite our efforts and help find and fill in gaps in this process that we are all a part of. So we have kind of a big panel here, all really exciting. So I'm going to approach this by asking each panelist a question, and then they can introduce themselves and their program that way. So we are going to start with Firsthand, program in the Science Center, and Maya. So Maya, what strategy do you use to make STEM engaging and accessible for middle and high school students, and especially those from underrepresented communities?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Maya Highland. I am a rambler, so I took some notes here, so I might look down, because we got to be quick here. But anyway, so I run the program Firsthand. It's a program of the Science Center. It's a STEM education program that provides early, authentic STEM exposure to allow students to make informed decisions about their academic and career paths. So this is like, I'm the first stop on this panel. Obviously, middle school is not the first stop in someone's life, but it's where we're starting today in terms of just that early exposure to industries like that are out, represented out here, but also learning in a new way and developing a relationship for middle school students with themselves and learning, and also in sort of STEM specifically. So students come to 3675 Market. It's one of the big glass buildings that Sharon was talking about, and most students don't have any idea what happens when you're walking in University City and you pass all of these glass buildings. So we're sort of that open door that says, come up to the lab every week for a semester, for a full academic year, and do hands-on STEM activities. But also the unique aspect of our program is the connection to industry. There are tons of life science and other STEM professionals working every day there who we recruit to develop engaging activities that relate to the content that they're already learning, but also have career conversations with students. Integral Molecular is one of those volunteers. We've been working with them for 10 years to really show at a 14-year-old level what happens in biotech. So we're trying to push the needle from just nurse, doctor, lawyer to really, there's so much nuance to all these pathways. I think I'm wrapping up because we only have a little bit of time, but I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking about how this room is like full of people who probably identify as like innovators and spaces that are new and novel problem-solving practices, and I feel like, unfortunately, K-12 education is not considered an innovative space at all, and that's a real shame because it should be, because the students that come through Firsthand are eventually going to work, and if they're not experienced in these sort of ways of thinking, how are we going to get some of the products and out there? So I was thinking, so Firsthand really is meant to just be that transformative space so students can think about learning and STEM pathways in a new way. And when we talk about underrepresented students, I really believe that like Philadelphia students, all of them they're not all getting high quality STEM experiences. So hands-on STEM experiences where they're meeting and talking to people from worlds that maybe they're not encountering is a huge strength of Firsthand, and also like a step on the path of this scaffolded pathway to get them to Drexel, to get them to Integral, to get them to some of these startups. I think I'll stop there. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Maya. All right, next, Alana from eClose. What impact could training thousands of Philly kids in biomedicine every year have on the life science workforce?
Yeah, so eClose is a new nonprofit that we started in 2019 as an extension of an academic program from Fox Chase Cancer Center. And we're founded on basically two principles. One is that every person is born a scientist, and it's our job to maintain that science, curiosity, problem solving, survival, and health skills that every student is born with. The second one is that is that the students know more about health equity than we do. So students grow up in communities that are experiencing devastating health inequity in Philadelphia. The numbers that a lot of people have been posting about our huge successes, most of those do not apply to children in Philadelphia. For example, only 1% of Philadelphia students graduate with STEM degrees from college. So our goal is to support students to be the future thought leaders who are going to be the first generation to eliminate health inequity, especially here in Philadelphia. Students come in classrooms, so we have 1,700 students in Philadelphia classrooms participating in original research that they design themselves. They continue into summer camps and finally into advanced research projects, and then some of them come to Fox Chase to create new research, new questions, new ideas that will target the health inequities in their communities. So right now we have 24% of our graduates working full-time in life science industries, and I just wanted to point out that most of them go to huge pharma companies that advertise their ancestral genetics focus, health equity focus, and public health focus. And so if you want to recruit our amazingly talented students, start thinking about how to make that at the forefront.
Very good. I guess just for both of you, before we go on, can you talk a little bit about some of the successes of your students? Like, does someone stick out in your mind as this is a great kid and they've gone on to do this? Because it's always fun to hear about the successes.
Yeah, so we get texts from our students all the time, and we have to say, where are you? What are you doing? How did you get there? Why are you, and I just actually messaged with a student, Antoinette, who went to Allen Locke Middle School right in West Philly. Went through 2 first-hand programs in middle school and then went through several high school programs. And she's at the NJIT studying business and computer science. And so I know it's not biotech, but what's cool about that is I heard a lot of discussion earlier about entrepreneurship and business as being part of this, industry and the workforce. And I really, Antoinette was able to, she's in her 2nd year, was able to bring those, she really focused on those 2 areas in firsthand, developing her own business, but also really developing her STEM skills. And she just did an internship at Amazon in Seattle and was like, I used firsthand on my internship application because I believe it helped me it brought all of the pieces of who I am to help me discover where I wanted to be. And that's that's what we're going for in this early stop, of helping to reflect the talent and also broaden the opportunity of what's out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think our success stories are in cohorts. So our group comes through as a cohort, and a cohort that's been continuing for 3 years now recently uncovered 5 compounds that eliminate cells that model HPV infection. And the students brought this from their own cultural dietary backgrounds. They screened chemicals, diet components that matter to them against these models, and this may actually be a new way to eliminate HPV-infected cells prior to their transformation. And this all came from children, right? They had not yet graduated high school. So don't underestimate Philadelphia just because their test scores are not what you're looking for, their 12th grade math. Our kids' 12th grade math is already done in 6th grade. So let's do more support so that the kids have the skills they need to leverage their life experience and their knowledge to actually combat cancer and other diseases.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. All right, let's move on to AJ from West Philadelphia Skills Initiative. How does WPSI bridge the relationship between training programs and employers across the city?
Thanks, Sharon. Hey everyone, my name is AJ Adams. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships for the Skills Initiative. And I really have the luxury of playing this role of working directly with industry and then partnering with technical training providers like you'll hear later on in this panel to connect them to the talent that they need. The Skills Initiative acts as a workforce intermediary and employs a very specific workforce model where we partner with one specific employer, we identify a position of high need, and then we design a customized selection and recruitment process around the ideal candidate that's needed for that target job role. And through our partnerships with technical training providers like the Wistar Institute that you'll hear about shortly, we're able to find candidates that are not only science curious, but are interested in advancing their careers. These are career changers, these are folks with some college, but it's through the partnership with technical training providers that we're able to connect employers with talent that likely they didn't even know existed in Philadelphia. Folks who have the skills, can learn the trades needed to be successful in this career. And really, the Skills Initiative role as that intermediary is a long-term play. It's building relationships with employers to understand what the culture is at that workplace, what the ethos is of the company, not only what the target position is, but also, what are those characteristics of a great employee within those companies. What's really hard about the job? What's really great about the job? And really building all of those things and translating that to the rest of our teams to identify those candidates who could be really successful in those roles. And we found a really sweet spot within biotech, working with companies really early on to start understanding who they are and following them along that journey as they grow, from 20 employees to 40 employees, from graduating from University City to innovation hubs at the Navy Yard. But it's really that deep investment in relationship that makes the Skills Initiative unique, and the partnering with really qualified technical training organizations like the Wistar Institute and Drexel to be able to connect these employers to the talent that they need.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we are part of our first cohort of externs from one of these training programs between WIPSI and the BTT. They're all into week 2. We have 6 externs, and they're all amazing. What their backgrounds and what they're bringing and what they're so excited to learn, I think is really going to be transformative for Integral Molecular. So yeah, thank you. All right, we're going to go to David from the Wistar program, because it's an extension now of WIPSI. So how does your biotechnician training program support individuals transitioning into full-time roles within the biotech industry?
Thanks, Sharon. Before I answer that, and I promise I'll talk about the BTT program, but I thought I would just take a second to give you an overview of the continuum of education and training programs at Wistar. So Wistar, if you don't know, is the nation's oldest independent biomedical research institute. We have a real research focus on cancer as well as immunology and vaccine development. And for over 20 years, we've had a real interest in education and training spanning high school to graduate and postdoctoral training. At the high school level, we partner with Heights Philadelphia to bring Wistar research into partner high schools' classrooms, where we actually bring the research, bring the laboratory equipment into Philadelphia high school classrooms. And the idea there is that we're similar to some of the programs that you heard about. We want to expose them to the incredible opportunities and the excitement around scientific research. We also have a summer program where targeting Philadelphia high school students to come to Wistar for 4 weeks of the summer and actually participate in authentic Wistar research. With Heights Philadelphia, we've also launched a summer bridge program for Philadelphia high school graduates that will be enrolling in STEM majors, and we offer them a mini first semester at college. And we found that actually reduced dramatically academic probation during the first year of college and increased GPA. At the undergraduate level, we have a NSF program where we recruit students across the country, but also specifically those living in Pennsylvania and studying at Pennsylvania universities to spend 10 weeks performing research at Wistar. The idea that we're trying to support them and help develop them and get them ready for a graduate school. We also have a really interesting bioentrepreneurship program with undergraduate and graduate institutions. Sharon has been a part of that, where students get exposed to Wistar intellectual property and develop business plans and ultimately give a pitch presentation. We're really invested across the entire continuum of education and training, trying to build the, help contribute to the next generation. But the BTT program specifically, so that program began at the Community College of Philadelphia over 20 years ago with a very specific purpose, and that was to actually address Wistar's own workforce needs for laboratory technicians. The program has evolved over time. It is now a one summer program that has a 2-week, very intensive, all-day laboratory orientation, sometimes referred as the boot camp, followed by 2 internships, one in an academic lab and one in an industry lab. Since I've been at Wistar over the past 3.5 years and observed this program, I can say that that boot camp is really transformative. We recruit students that have little or no laboratory experience prior to participating in the program, and they are like little caterpillars that evolve into or metamorphose into beautiful butterflies over that 2 weeks. And that really provides the foundation for them to become productive when they go into their laboratory internships. It's also important that they get both the academic and industry experiences, because we found that students have real opinions about that, and they identify with one or two of the with one or the other of the experiences really strongly, and it helps them sort of envision their career in the future and what they want to do. The BTT program has matured into a state-registered pre-apprenticeship that is connected to Wistar's Biomedical Research Technician Apprenticeship. And this is actually a way for companies to tap into this talent pool we're developing, and also to receive salaries support for hiring apprentices in the program. The BTT program has also evolved, as AJ alluded to, into this employer-directed, cohort-based workforce training program. We call it BTT for Adults Living and Learning in Philadelphia, or BTT for All in Phil, where we provide a life science foundations course. And as AJ said, we really work with industry partners to understand the competencies and knowledge that are going to be needed in roles. We build that into a 10-week in-person course at the Wistar Institute prior to the lab boot camp. As Sharon can now attest, after that 10-week course and a 2-week lab training, they arrive at the company ready for externships. And the results we've had with employers so far have been really fantastic.
Great, thanks, David. And I guess AJ and David, any students stand out that have been through your programs that you want to kind of showcase here, success stories?
So I got an email this morning, although I already knew this, from a student who I was a faculty member at LaSalle University before coming to Wistar. And one of our students, he was exceptionally bright. I taught him in an advanced cellular biology course. It was all seniors, and he was a sophomore, and he outperformed everybody. But for a variety of reasons, it was really, really, really hard for him to find employment after he graduated. I wrote him dozens of letters of recommendations. I was on the phone with PIs from labs that were considering hiring him for jobs again and again, and nothing came through for him. He participated in the Skills Initiative and Wistar version of the BTT program. And he sent me an email today. He was hired by an employer on a contract basis and was recently converted to a full-time employee. And it was incredible to get that email today. So really, really proud of him. And excited that I just get to do this and participate.
Yeah.
And if I could add just very quickly and briefly, maybe not a participant story, but really just an amazing accomplishment that we've had collaboratively. We've run 5 of these collaborative programs together. To date, we have over 22 individuals hired at Iovance Biotherapeutics, and we have a graduate who's now working at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia who is published in a scientific paper. So just the legs of our graduates now and what they're doing, getting promoted, moving from entry-level technician positions to Tech 1s has been really incredible to watch in really as little as 2 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
I think he was published in Science, not just a science
Right,
publication,
but
in
Science,
Science.
the journal
The-
Science,
yeah.
right. That's amazing. That's so awesome. All right, let's move on to university, college. Kara, we are all very familiar with Drexel's amazing co-op program. We have employed many, many, many Drexel co-ops through the years. And it's a program that really prepares college students very well for the job market. But there's a new program at Drexel that you're spearheading with Bristol Myers Squibb for cell and gene therapy training. So can you tell us a little bit about that and what the goals of that program are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in charge of the curricular side of those things and making sure that the classes meet what we're going for. So the motivation behind it was that we had, Drexel's very industry friendly. It's part of our brand, we always have been. And our students were starting to get co-ops in cell and gene therapy in particular, at Integral and Century and all these other very innovative companies. And they were coming back and saying, where are the courses in cell and gene therapy? All I want to do, I'm obsessed with cell and gene therapy, I want to take all the courses. And we were like, oh, we don't have them. No one has them. We have your biomedical engineering, we've got your basic bio, we've got your basic engineering, and then we've got some senior level courses. And I mean, at this point, they're kind of considered traditional areas of biomedical engineering, biomaterials, biomechanics. We didn't have cell and gene therapy courses, and we started looking around the national landscape, and nobody does, And so Bristol Myers Squibb in particular was like, you got to update your curriculum. This is next generation biotech, and the students need to be more formally trained than what they're getting right now, And I think we talk a lot in this group about how you don't need a bachelor's degree or a master's degree to get a job, right? But some jobs, you do need a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and we were failing to update the curriculum for those positions. So that's what this program is supposed to do, we created 10 new courses that are specific to cell and gene therapy on the undergraduate and the graduate level. So far, 140 students have taken these courses, and we're still rolling out some more, including advanced lab techniques in cell and gene therapy. And Bristol Myers Squibb, when they gave us the fund, because this takes money to develop, this is a lot of work to develop these new courses, So we were very grateful to Bristol Myers Squibb for giving us that grant. But they were also clear that they felt it was a philanthropic thing. And they were like, this is not just going to benefit BMS, this is going to benefit all these companies that we need these students to be better prepared. So yeah, it's going great.
Yeah. And talk a little bit too, I know when we talked on the phone earlier this week, you talked about your relationship with Community College of Philadelphia. So, that's kind of an extension of, where kids from Philadelphia go to CCP and then have an entry into Drexel.
Yeah, it's actually not just CCP, but Drexel has a program called the Drexel Promise, where any student that transfers from a community college to Drexel gets automatically 50% off the tuition. Okay. And so I think that's something that clearly needs to be better advertised, because not everyone's aware of it, but we need to be, I think we could even do a better job at deepening these partnerships, so.
Right. Great, thank you. All right, so now let's talk more about organizing the workforce development efforts across the region. They are numerous. These are just some of them. And so we're going to talk some now about the Keystone Life Science Collaborative, and I'm thrilled to have Mari Smith here, the new managing director. So Mari, can you talk a little bit about the KLSC and bridging that gap between the learning, the training, the academic learning, and the employment?
Sure. Thank you, Sharon. So hi, I'm Mari Smith. I'm the managing director of the Keystone Life Sciences Collaborative. I want to say I'm 4 weeks into the job, and I am so thrilled to be here because my job is to help lead this industry partnership, which means it's an industry-led agenda. We launched in March. We brought together 40 companies in life sciences in the region, so not just Philadelphia, although all my love to Philadelphia. And they came up with a 5-pronged strategy and agenda that they wanted us to advance not surprising, 2 of those pillars are in talent and what I call awareness, which touches on every one of the individuals here today. And one of the reasons I feel so lucky is that 4 weeks in, I've had the chance to talk to each one of you, and the goal here is to say, if this is an industry-led agenda, what can the companies in life sciences in the region bring to all these organizations to partner with? And how can we do that at economies of scale, where it's not just firsthand partnering with one organization or equals partnering with one organization? How can we allow there to be a more efficient use of your limited resources to partner into this much larger collaborative? If you are a life sciences company sitting in the audience and you haven't heard, please find me. We are growing quickly. We have an upcoming quarterly meeting. We're really excited. Part of our charge in these 5 pillars is to be actionable. So we're actually working on how do we create this connective tissue between life sciences industry partners and what we're calling sub-bachelor programs. How do we make sure that we're connecting with professional track, people who are graduating from the Drexels of the world? How do we partner with the great institutions like Wistar and obviously the Skills Initiative, which is my parent organization, to develop curriculum that can be adopted? So really a systemic level approach. But partnering with each individual to say, what's the gap you perceive? How can we be the engine as an industry partner and an industry partnership to really advance that message and advance those goals? So it's really exciting work. We are 6 months in, and there is so much excitement. There's so much momentum, especially around talent. Sharon leads our talent action team, and I got to say, or what I call our awareness action team, and it's one of our most engaged groups of industry professionals. So the life sciences industries in the region are really clamoring at saying, how can we make sure we're connecting into this talent that we may not be realizing the full potential of, and how do we bolster programs or create more connective tissue between these wonderful programs up on stage to make sure that we're maximizing what industry can do for this region, but then also make sure that we're being efficient with public, nonprofit, and community resources. So I'm sitting here at the end, but really I feel like I'm like in between each and kind of like collectively trying to bring us together. So I feel very lucky to be in my role today.
Yeah, thank you. We're so happy that you joined. Yeah, that's interesting. We've all talked about our involvement and the different programs. I guess, what gaps do you all see in the current system? This could probably be really helpful for Mari to listen to this too. But as having been in this space for as long as you have, what gaps do you see that still need to be filled? What opportunity is still not being presented to the citizens of the region who want to get into biotech? Anyway.
I can start from the first stop over here. I think it's, we represent, like I was saying earlier, I think more innovative approaches to teaching, training, things like that, but we can only serve so many participants, and I think even, we're mostly in West Philly, and, we partner with tons of the public schools in West and Southwest Philly, and what we hear over and over again is that we'd have this sort of passive teacher PD, because teachers bring students to the firsthand lab, and they become empowered to use a compound microscope. Nothing crazy, right? But just things that are that they don't get to do in their classroom. So you're thinking, okay, firsthand can serve about 300 middle school students in multi-week programming a year. There's way more middle school students than that in Philadelphia who are just not getting high quality STEM, but not doing a science lab ever. One of my favorite memories I like to tell in groups like this is when I was still teaching, I remember going through we were making bioplastics. It was a materials class, and it was okay, we went through the lab safety, we went through everything, you have your PPE on, let's go. And the whole class just sat there, and they looked at me, they looked down, they looked up, and I was like, well, go, go, and they just still sat there. And I went to their teacher, and I was like, why aren't they going, And she was like, they've never done an activity like this. They've never had to get up and do what they read. They're really good at reading, It's so if we have if we have this at, middle through high school, and then you're like, now go into biotech and be really innovative and come with new ideas and try it out. Like, there's even just fundamental ways of learning and being that I think are huge gaps in the Philadelphia education system generally. That's one gap.
I would like to add a gap that has been flagged, Maya, and I think everyone at this stage, and we just were talking about it over lunch, is like a coordinated network of what are the different paths into life sciences. Maya, the first meeting we had with our action team in the firsthand program, you were saying it'd be so valuable to have that resource where somebody might go through your program and then they go, well, what's next? How do I get a job in this?
Right.
And it's not one path. It's an incredible, explosion of potential depending on where you go in this decision tree. And Maya brought that up, and then met Kara today, and she was saying the same thing. She's developing the same idea. So if we could, as a network system, as this ecosystem, say, one route might be through Wistar, one route might be through Drexel, and lay out the different options for students. And that's one of the things that we've heard through many of you, the partners up on the stage, and that's about just bringing the information together and hopefully coming up with a compelling tool for people to be able to digest all of the great options that are out there that can lead into companies that are sitting here in the audience.
Well, and see the gaps. Making those pathways identifies where in the whole continuum, where the programs don't exist and where there's not enough of them and things like that.
Yeah, and I guess I've only ever worked in a university, so I have such a narrow academic perspective, but we're just like so busy all the time. We're always just like head down trying to get our thing done that we forget to come to meet people like you and see that if we work together, it would be so much more impactful than just keeping our head down all the time. So I'm so glad that you're in this role, Mari, and you're being tasked with connecting us all, right? So that's very exciting because the gaps are just in between every single excellent program. It's literally just the in-betweens that is missing right now.
Sharon, and I would add too, I think there's a call to action for employers as well to think about what is that sub-bachelor's degree pathway. And not only how do you hire that talent, how do you invest in that talent, and then how do you connect them to the Drexels where they can continue their education, continue to upskill, and continue to be extremely invested in the company that, quite frankly, took a chance on them, right? Invested in them, gave them this opportunity for someone maybe not from that traditional pathway to grow a career that they never thought they'd be able to connect to.
Right.
I think one thing that, and it's why we're all so excited about the Keystone Life Science Collaborative, is we don't have anybody organizing across the different levels and the different organizations. I think about Massachusetts, there's Mass BioEd, who is a statewide organization who is the one-stop shop for scientific outreach, education, and training programs for the biotech industry. We're all, like you said, we're all really busy, and sometimes it's hard to pick our heads up. And so I think that's a real gap in terms of organizing and awareness for like a career road mapping project, right? That's going to be very hard for any one or two people to coordinate across the region or the state. So there's I think a real need for higher level organization.
Yep. Alana?
Yeah, what we find to be the biggest gap is relevance. So there's essentially no role models for the students of Philadelphia and life science industry, barely any. And what's the relevance? Like, are you working on products that are going to improve the health of Philadelphia communities? Are they for Black and brown residents who experience health disparities, social determinants of health? How are you bringing in the social determinants of health to impact the work that you're doing so that these patients can be affected? Our students want to improve the health of the people they love, right? They can get a job. They can get a job. But they don't want to leave their homes. They don't want to leave their families. They want to take care of their grandma with breast cancer. That's the main driver. And so what's the relevance? What's the communication from the life science industry that says, not only do we welcome you, we value you. We're not just giving you a job because we feel sorry for you, but we value what you have to contribute.
Can I add to that too? I think with the relevance too, it's also like that communication of biotech and this like growing industry, which a lot of the students, we have a high school biotech sprint, and almost all of them joined because they want to be in the healthcare profession, and we're like, well, this isn't kind of why. And then when you explore it further, it's like their families are saying that healthcare careers are good, solid jobs to have, and then when they go through the biotech sprint, they meet tons of like researchers and scientists who are like talking about the patients, like the discoveries that they're making for patients. Like so many anecdotes of students being like, I didn't realize that like this whole industry was actually about helping patients too. Like that's like a communication problem, you know. As a city, I think there's like a lot of efforts underway, but more that can be done for the community of Philadelphia to be like, what? Oh yeah, there's all these glass buildings. There's those big signs, but like, what are they actually doing, and how does it affect me?
Right. Yeah.
Our commencement speaker this year, the undergrad who was chosen to speak on behalf of the class, I still remember what he said, but he was like, let's go show the world what happens when the heart of a healer meets the mind of an engineer. And I was like, that's so beautiful, and that's what the biotech industry needs to be saying, is the heart of a healer meets the mind of a scientist or whatever. You want to pick your thing, and that's because that's exactly it. We're all altruistically motivated from that space, but you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse to have that impact. And nobody knows that.
All right, we have a few minutes left. Are there any questions from the audience? Anyone? It's hard, these lights are very bright.
I actually don't have a question. I just wanted to say this was an incredible panel, and I feel so inspired. You guys are doing amazing work, and your students are so lucky. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, one thing I think about when I joined the Keystone Life Science Collaborative and have been talking to all of you is how do we scale these programs, right? So, 1,300, no.
Yeah, we're over 2,000.
Over 2,000 students. Maya's working with hundreds every year. David and AJ, you're working, with somewhere in the hundreds. How do we scale this? And I think that's one of the missions of the collaborative is once we really wrap our heads around what we need to do and where the gaps are, it's then how do we take these great programs and replicate them all over the city and the region, right? Out, Norristown, Camden, although Camden's not Pennsylvania. So, okay. I think a lot about Camden because I grew up in South Jersey. But anyway, these other places in Pennsylvania, and I know, we work with Montgomery County Community College. They have amazing training programs out there. And so how to get, the Philadelphia students in tune with all of the opportunities in the region. So it's really that scale and expansion to impact more lives and get them to buy in and know that we're doing amazing work to save patients, every day. And that's why I went into this space. Yeah. Let's see. I think we have time for any of the panelists have a question that has come to mind. I have some more, but.
Question over there.
Oh, here we go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the panel. I know you talked a lot about going from initiatives to help keep talent in Philadelphia from elementary, middle schools, up and through college, and especially Drexel with the co-op program. As a recent PhD graduate from Drexel University, what I'm finding is that between me and a lot of my peers, a lot of people that I graduated with, a lot of people in the area, that there doesn't seem to be a good initiative, or maybe I'm just unaware of it, and I would like to bring it to graduate students in the area to sort of bridge the gap between graduate students in academia and industry, because there seems to be some disconnect in my experience between leaving academia for graduate students and moving into industry.
Yeah, and I think what I'm thinking as you're saying that is that if you want to move to Boston, they have no problem getting jobs. And every time my students graduate and move to Boston, it hurts me. I'm from Philly. I've been working at Drexel my whole career. And it's very easy for my students to get hired in Boston. So we just need more Philly companies. Yeah, I don't know.
So I just want to, because Melina's is not up on stage, I want to flag
Yeah.
the Biotech Jobs Fair. So BioLabs this is the first of its kind. It's November 19th. If you're an employer, sign up to have a table. If you're a job seeker, this is the place to be. And it's all sort of regional employers. So that is the first of hopefully many events. And if there is, we don't have graduate students as part of this Keystone Life Science Collaborative. However, not sure why we don't, right?
Right.
So my sense is that, I'd love to connect. There's this jobs fair, but as much as we can keep talent here in Philadelphia, keep companies here in Philadelphia, best for the region. We don't want to lose graduate talent, so do that through their jobs fair and other events. Would love to talk and connect on other ideas that might help keep that spark and that talent here.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the gaps that we're identifying is there are, we hire PhDs and postdocs right out of academia all the time, and I know, some of the pharmaceutical companies in the area have those programs, but as Mari was saying, go see Melina at the BioLabs table and find out about this jobs fair, and that's the first, hopefully, of many. And feel free to reach out to me too.
And sorry to interrupt, but as a professor teaching graduate students and undergraduates at Drexel, just email me and say, who's your top 3 best students? I have this position open. Give me the short list of best students.
Right.
And I'll be like, these people. I'll say, Kelly Zakeo, who's right there.
That is, now we're over, but I have to say this. So that is one of our action teams. We're talking about that professional track. We talked a lot about sub-bachelors and awareness, but how do we connect in with the folks who are coming out of the 100 colleges and universities in our region? And how do we do it in a way that it's not integral molecular going up against a Merck or a Pfizer, but there's a coalition. So we're working on what we're calling sort of a hashtag, lots of ideas and a lot of industry leadership already on that front about how do we make sure it's a more networked approach to retaining talent.
Right, yeah, keep talent in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All right, thank you
Thank you very
everyone.
much.